Hey, I'm Wendy. Welcome to the RN for God show. As a trusted healthcare professional, a RN for the last 24 years, I want to help you to discover how to be healthy. I'm going to guide you through the myths, the facts, and the essential tips that you need to live a high quality of life. The Bible says in John 10:10, Jesus came that we could have life and have it more abundantly. And I believe that he meant for us to have that on earth. Let's dive in, learn about health strategies so that you can live that abundant, healthy life right here on earth. Hey, welcome back to the RN for God show. So today we are going to talk about diabetes. Yeah. We're going to get into the sugar of it, the sweetness of it. Okay, y'all? So put your molasses shoes on, strap on that Twizzler belt, the seat belt of Twizzlers, and put on your kettle corn hat, and let's just talk, okay? So, diabetes, there are two types. So, type 1 used to be called juvenile diabetes. That is when a person, their pancreas, so the pancreas is the part of the body that produces insulin. And when the pancreas does not make insulin, then a person is considered to have a type 1 diabetes. So it's juvenile because it's usually because it happens at birth or in their early years of life. I know people that have been diagnosed with type 1 in their teens and early 20s, also born with it. It's something that runs in my family, type 1 diabetes. But I'm here to talk about type 2 because type 1 diabetics is never going to change for them. That is how their body works. So diabetes type 2 is directly correlated to obesity. Yeah, I said it, obesity. I'm about to be politically incorrect, but I'm not shaming anyone. But for people that don't know what obesity is, that is when you are overweight or you're fat, you are over your BMI. So N is correlated with obesity and an inactive lifestyle. Okay, so let's talk about obesity first. So there is a mantra that in the Black American community that people say, "Oh, I'm big boned," or that kind of thing. So of course, if you look at Shaquille O'Neal and Kevin Hart, their bone density is different because of their body size, right? Just like a lot of differences occur in persons with different heights. Excuse me. So when you have a higher bone density, you do require to have more muscle mass, more body fat, all of those things. Okay, so a lot of it is individualized per person, but what I'm giving you is general. Okay, so for the best way to tell if you are obese is to gauge your abdominal girth. That's the width of your abdomen, the width of your belly. Okay, so if you got a big belly, measure it. Take a tape measure and start at the middle part of your thoracic cavity. This is your thoracic cavity, your whole chest and everything, your torso, your whole torso. So you want to measure that around the navel area. For women, if it is more than 35 inches, you are officially obese. And for men, if it's more than 40 inches, you are officially obese. The important thing about this is that it increases your risk for heart disease and diabetes and other things as well. So, how do we fix that? Well, unlike type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes you can control with your diet. So what they do is a test called a hemoglobin A1C. And that is a measure of how well your blood sugar is managed over a 3-month time period. So just a little bit of background. Every 3 months, your cells regenerate. Every 3 months, your cells regenerate. So we are able to draw your blood and see how your glucose is managed over that. And it's a percentage value. So your hemoglobin A1C should be below 5.7%. If you are considered a pre-diabetic, it will be 5.7 to 6.4%. And if you actually have a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, that means your hemoglobin A1C is greater than 6.5. Now, you want your hemoglobin A1C to be less than 5.7. If you are diabetic, you can work to get it down. And how do you do that? Controlling your diet. Yes. So, how does type 2 diabetes happen? As I mentioned, the pancreas is what makes insulin. So for type 2 diabetics, their pancreas either does not make enough insulin, so they need to have an oral agent, a pill, to help to produce the insulin for their body to break down their sugars in their body, or their pancreas does not make insulin any longer, and that's when they actually need to give themselves injections. So it depends. So when you see your doctor, because I know you will, right? Right? One more time. When you see your doctor, ask them what your hemoglobin A1C is. Why? Because you want to make sure that you are managing your blood sugars, your blood sugars appropriately. Everybody isn't a diabetic, but everybody should be monitoring what their hemoglobin A1C is. Because if you eat sugary foods, and I'm guilty because I love cake and cookies, but thank God my hemoglobin A1C is low. It's not, it's like 5.4. But if you eat a lot of sugar, if you eat a lot of fried foods, if you eat a lot of fatty foods, right? Fatty foods are horrible. If you like bread, so let me tell you about bread, rice, starches. They break down into your body after you eat them, straight up sugar, all the way. That's why we like it so much, because it just breaks down into sugar. Those carbs, yeah, we need a little bit of carbs for energy, but we don't need as many as we eat. And it's a shame because we eat them. I can talk about a lot of different foods that I like that are high in carbs, but I had to cut down. So in the Bible, Jesus says that it's not what goes into a mouth that defiles a man, but what comes out of the mouth that defiles a man. That's in Matthew chapter 15, verse 11. At this point in time, Jesus is talking with his disciples and talking to people around him, and the Pharisees is talking to them about why are they eating certain foods, and you're not supposed to eat this because Levitical law had restraints on different types of food. So if you choose to eat different foods, that's okay. Everybody's palate is different. You can be a vegan. You cannot eat pork. You cannot eat beef. You can be a pescatarian. You could be whatever you want to be. But everything in moderation. That's what I say. Moderation is key. Moderately eat rice. Moderately eat potatoes. Moderately eat breads. Those things, pasta. Moderately eat pasta. I love pasta, so I have to moderately eat it. And then I try to buy not pasta made from wheat. I try to buy pasta, veggie pasta, because that's essentially better. And I don't know if that's a falsehood for myself or what, but it helps me because my hemoglobin A1C is good. And I'm not really talking about me, but I can only use me as an example. But again, my goal is to help you to be better, right? To live better, to live longer, to have a higher quality of life. So when we're talking about insulin resistance and the type of food you eat, Rochelle T. Parks always says, eat God's food in as close of its natural state as possible. And anything else is an experiment, right? So, whatever you're choosing to eat, think about it that way. Is this God's food? Did they mix something together like a turducken? We just had holidays, and people are eating turduckens and stuff. And turducken is turkey, duck, and I don't know what else. But it's an animal, 3 different animals put together that they made in a lab or something. Stop eating that GMO stuff. When I was a kid, I grew up in the 70s. There was a TV commercial that came on all the time. You are what you eat. And it talked about, it showed you little cartoon pictures of, if you eat broccoli, you turn into a broccoli. If you eat celery, you turn into a celery. It was, in the middle of cartoons. So that has always stuck in my head. You are what you eat. You know how I know that to be true is because everything you take in is broken down in your body to be used to help regenerate your cells, to help regenerate your blood, to help regenerate you. So be mindful of that. Eat things in its natural state as possible. Stop eating fried foods. Stop eating those things that's high in fat. You wonder why people of older generations, people that were farmers and things like that, have lived such long lives? Because they didn't have chemicals and all of that stuff in their foods. We have a lot of that because everything we want is so fast. We eat a lot of fast food. We eat a lot of fried foods. So we have to stop doing that. Remember, the change starts with you, your household, and then your community. I know there's a lot of community gardens happening. How are you all sharing those fruits and vegetables even outside of your community, right? Are you sharing recipes? Are you sharing how to eat things? When you go shopping at the store, do you go all the way around the sides? That's when you come in the door. It's crazy how they got all of the things that taste good, but that are not good for you, right? You sometimes have to go through the middle aisles. Make a list before you go to the store. Know what you want to buy, and then try to buy it in its healthiest form, its most natural form as well. So I don't like to buy things in cans because they're high in salt. The salt content is very high because they have to preserve it. Salt is used as a preservative. So that is high. Even when it say low sodium count, that's still high. I don't like to buy things that are saturated fats. So I eat real butter. I don't do the margarine because margarine is a saturated fat. If you let it sit out, it turns into liquid. I don't want that. It shouldn't turn into fat. Also, if you have food stamps, you can still go to a fresh market and buy foods. You don't have to eat any old kind of way just because you got food stamps. I understand you get a limited amount, but you can still eat healthy. They make you think, oh, I got just this much, so I gotta eat, I gotta get this. And please, 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 stop feeding your kids ramen noodles because they are not a meal. That's a snack. Okay? Please stop doing that. And remember, hot dogs are just the scraps of the meat that they put all of this stuff in, and it's just not good for you. And I do like an occasional hot dog too. But we got to be better and we got to do better. So let's do this together. And tune in for the next one, y'all. Toodles. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember that your health is your wealth and knowledge is power. So like, share, leave me a comment, send it to a friend. And thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Toodles.